Creatify AI.
Yes.
Just the latest money that you've put in, and this is about using artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence in the world of ads. And what's so interesting, Jeffrey, is that for me it epitomizes kind of our optimism and our anxiety around AI. Optimism that it can do so much more productive. Anxiety that, is this going to make creatives redundant? What's your answer to that?
Well, first I have to ask a question since we're the closer. Has there been a single person on this stage today that has not said AI?
No. Maybe Peloton for a hot second managed to avoid it?
My guess not. Listen, it is to me, I think it's just a incredibly exciting time. I think that, you know, the world changed in November 2022, where the possibilities were unleashed in a way that is really just hard to imagine how much has changed just in these, whatever it is, 16, 18 months. I think the Creatify is just a perfect example here of 24 brilliantly talented young entrepreneurs who looked at this world of advertising and said, why can't we make this more creative, more accessible, actually use tools that are available today to bring a level of both quality and to be able to use the speed of iteration to pursue perfection. And I'll let ChenLi talk a little bit more about it, but to me, it is, again, a great example here in which I think we're going to see, particularly for performance marketing and for, you know, the online marketing, digital marketing, we're going to see a quality escalation here that is going to take people's breath away.
Quality that, look, almost on the same week as you announced the investment, ChenLi, we had Zuckerberg saying, I want to own generation of ads as well and generative AI. Come to me, one-stop shop. Why then go to Creatify?
Well, Meta is one of the most incredible platforms for advertisers to find their audience. And I think they're going to be excited that there's going to be Creatify, there's all the agencies that exist in the world that make wonderful creatives. They are going to be the ultimate winners regardless, because that's where the audience live. But really, coming back to it, it's about how technology pushes the boundaries of human creativity, giving all of us the opportunity to make better content, more engaging content, to spend less time with the mundaneness of it.
But with more jobs, more creatives doing that? Because that's the anxiety.
I think there's going to be more. I think it's going to look different and more.
But it's always been the case, Caroline. That's the thing that I just, there's wonderful line, I think maybe Henry Kravis said some version of this, which is, as uncomfortable as change is, irrelevance is going to be way more difficult to deal with. And so you either have to buy into and get on board with and understand that this is an opportunity.
Yeah.
Rather than sit back and, sort of wait for, the wave to, kind of pass you by. So very specifically, I actually grew up in the 2D animation world.
Yeah.
At the Walt Disney Company for the decade I was there. Every frame of every movie, 135,000 frames for a film, hand-drawn, hand-inked, hand-painted. And then John Lasseter comes along with this CGI animation, and all of the same conversations that are going on right now, both the defensive and the offensive ones occurred. And here we are now, I don't know, 25 years later, 30 years later, and by a factor, there are more people working in animation today than there were then. It changed the jobs. It didn't eliminate them. And this is where I have to say, I think with some of the, more brilliant people that are out there talking about the talent that is building this is not necessarily, I think, fully aware of how it's actually going to get deployed in a good way. That's not a criticism. I just
and
think
thanks to you, with the development from what happened at Disney and with Toy Story and then on to DreamWorks, we now have more people doing animation than ever before. I want to engage the audience. Please do give us your questions, because the history and the expertise and the deep knowledge these two have is extraordinary. And I want to go, therefore, from being able to see that genius and being able to see disruption and take it wholeheartedly. ChenLi, from your perspective, what is it that makes a founder stand out then at this moment? Because the technology is there and right for the taking, but the talent and what is the focus to use that disruption is something that needs to be singular.
Yeah, and that has not changed.
No?
It was probably 10, 15 years ago when I first met Drew. I ended up being one of the first employees there.
You were Goldman, NEA, bit at Workday, one of the first at Dropbox.
One of the first at Dropbox. And it wasn't because Drew had already built. I went to Workday because Dave Duffield was a legend in enterprise software. Drew had not built a big enterprise software company, but he was obsessed about async and all the technical minutia of it, and also about how to build a magical, him and Arash, the co-founder, a magical product experience. It just worked. It was just plastered throughout that office. And there was just something magical about, I want to be part of this team to make this happen. And I knew that he was going to attract 100 other people delusionally to be in search of the same goal. And so years later, when we meet Dylan at Figma, he was, from very early days, he's like, this is how design's going to work in the future. There's a maniacal obsession about that.
There's Dylan with Figma, there's May, Habib over at Writer, Vlad, Robin Hood. You can go through the portfolio companies. What's so interesting is you build as well, and then you put your own talent in there. Aurora, tell us, Jeffrey, about why you think the consumer identity, consumer threats are where you want to be protecting, why Aurora is the right one to be doing it with.
Well, again, there's so many great things that came in this last 20 years out of social media, and we could spend the rest of our time talking about all of the great and positive things.
We like to talk about the negative.
Okay, but well, there are, unfortunately, there is a dark side to it, and the fact is all of us are being boiled like frogs, 1 degree at a time here, and have been over the last 20 years, in which, our identity, our financial security, we have become more and more vulnerable for online crime. Home burglaries this last year were $4 billion, and theft online was $15 billion. So just to understand how ubiquitous this is, everybody knows somebody who has either their parents or somebody somewhere has had something, on the dark side of this. So the legacy companies that were in this were basically, the antivirus for desktop in it, and they didn't really innovate as the world went, digital and mobile. And so when you look at change the world ideas that actually could be huge and could make the world a better place, this is about as big a opportunity, but also a challenge in it. And so we set out to do that and built this great product, Aura. Started the company 5-6 years ago. This year, it's just passed 205 million of ARR, growing 40-some-odd%. And this thing is taking off. But the most rewarding part of it is the founder, CEO of the company, had a 13-year-old daughter who actually kind of got down the rabbit hole here into some trouble. And it's a close family, close relationship. She's a good kid. And he realized he knew nothing about it. He had no tools, no ability to actually be a great parent. And that set him on this course to say, he was driven at the outset by wanting to build something great. And he then pivoted on a mission to do something great. And that sort of drive, has given him, so about 4 weeks ago, he launched this Aura family safety product. And it's actually quite amazing. And the analogy I would give you is that today, if you have a teenager and they're going to, time for them to learn how to drive, what do? Well, you get a learner's permit, you go to a Walmart parking lot where you can't do any damage
Yeah.
in this. And over the course of literally a year or two or three, you onboard them and you are able to actually guide them into being responsible, knowledgeable, and you have confidence that they can get behind the wheel of a car and they, will be safe.
Yeah.
Well, we do nothing. There's the damage that is the jeopardy that exists for kids online today is way, way, way higher than getting in a car and driving it. And so giving parents tools to be able to be great parents, I think is a really, really good mission. I'm super proud of the team and what they're doing. And ChenLi helped actually build some of the product for this. And I think this is a change the world for the better mission to be on.
Founders often want to change the world, and I'm going to go to a sensitive topic, ChenLi, because some founders want to change it too much, and they take on misguided risks and drive a company in the wrong direction. And Builder AI was one of those, and you put some money into it. Yeah. What are the lessons that you've learned from this singular moment where a company has gone awry and basically told incorrect information to its investors?
Yeah, there's companies who push themselves to the boundary in terms of financial risk, in terms of technology risk. That is part and parcel of innovation and entrepreneurship. And then there's fraud and misrepresenting what actually happened. And I think often when the full story isn't out, it's hard to know exactly what happened in a specific case. But I think that's an important distinction to draw, and you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Elon Musk was close to bankruptcy multiple times with Tesla, but it was a really good product, and financially just wasn't. He made it through. But you look back, and there were many moments where it could have gone the other way.
To be a great venture capital investor, you actually have to have these two qualities that are actually, you think about them, they're utterly contradictory to one another. And the first is that you need to be able to see a dream. You need to be able to hear a dream. You need to be a bit of a dreamer yourself, in my opinion, because when someone comes in with a new idea, something that's not been done before, by definition, it's a dream. And on the other side of it, which is what you just went to, not all dreams come true.
And like so, Disney would know.
And so you got to have a degree of skepticism. You got to be somewhat cynical, but you can't lose that dreamer attribute in this. And that's what ChenLi has. It's what Sujay Jazwa, our partner, has. Like, they are fantastic at seeing dreams.
And they have your ability to storytell, to have the vision. And Jeffrey, I have to end on what everyone's probably been consuming from a social media perspective while they've been at this conference. You bring up Musk. What is going on in terms of Musk and Trump? And yeah, what do you push us forward? Tell us the story for tomorrow. Tell us the story. You're a man who knows politics.
All I will say to you is that storytelling is a part of every single thing that happens in company building. You need to be able to tell that story, whatever this new idea is that you're going to do. You need to be able to tell a story to your investors. You need to be able to tell a story to whoever you're going to be selling that product to. And there's no set of circumstances in which I will answer the question that you just asked me. That's just certain, just self-immolation. No, thank you.
One set of circumstances, I would love you to answer the question. Go to your portfolio companies right now and say, here's how to cling on to tomorrow. Here's, amid the geopolitics, amid this storytelling where we're worried about talent, we're worried about immigration, we're worried about building. What do you tell your portfolio company to do in this moment?
Exceed expectations.
Yeah?
Literally. About every aspect of what you're doing. Exceed the expectations of your colleagues, the people that you work with. Exceed the expectations of the people who have invested in you. Exceed the expectation of your customers. If that's your goal, now, you're not going to succeed every time at that in it, but if you get up every day with that mindset, it's how I literally, that was my mantra. My entire career has always been about just try and do a bit better than is expected of you. And with that, if you hit it enough times, you'll have success out of it. For me personally, I have a, I said it to you, which is, it's probably what you were trolling me for here, which is that, mine today is never let your memories be greater than your dreams. And that's my life. Every day I get up. I got up this morning. I've had just an unbelievable day. I've got more coming here. He's sending me off to see a founder with a thing he says is going to blow my mind. I can't wait.